Hey, Senda.
Hey, Phil.
I didn't get any show notes written because my week kind of got away from me. Do you want to chit chat?
Yeah, let's do a chit chat.
We haven't done one in a while.
Chatting.
And welcome to another fine episode of Panda's Talking Games. I am your host, Chit, aka Phil.
I am your other host, Chat, aka Senda. Good.
It's a chit chat show.
I love how when you surprise me with what we're doing for the introductions, I always end up asking my name as if it's a question.
Yeah, well, I think you're asking, like, am I getting the pattern right?
Did I do it right?
In this case, I think it was fairly obvious, right? I hung that one out pretty obviously. Yeah. Anyway, today's Chit Chat show, if you're a new listener to the show and haven't cruised through our entire backlog, which, trust me, it's okay if you do not cruise through our entire backlog. That's not a... but if you want to flex and be like, I listened to the whole backlog, you do you.
You do
It's okay.
It's awesome.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's awesome if you do, but boy, it's not a requirement.
Not a requirement. But if you're new here and you're like, what's a chit chat episode? So at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were less, more drained than we currently are.
Yes.
We just really couldn't put whole shows together. So we did these chit chat episodes where the format's basically simple. We have two questions that we ask each other, which is, and these are obviously borrowed from the great Gauntlet podcast and one of my podcast favorites, Jason Cordova. And it's the question, what's giving you life in gaming? And just what's giving you life in general. Mm-hmm. So you get like a little, we never want to do a show without some gaming content. So we're going to definitely talk about that. But also you get a little slice of life from both of us, just like kind of what's going on, just whatever we're just, grooving on at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the show may be shorter. I don't know. There's no script to this, so who the hell knows? This could be a shorter show or not.
Or not. We'll just see.
If you're listening to it, you know the answer to that because you're looking at the time of the show. We do not know because we are recording it live. Anyway, Senda.
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Yeah. Yeah, because you're too excited. Senda, what's giving you life in gaming?
Okay, so there's a little story to this because it's not like I read a game book, although to be fair, I am reading Monster Hearts 2 and it is exceedingly good and I am very excited to play that game. We did our session 0 Thursday before last Thursday, but so we'll be playing it for realsies this coming Thursday. I'm very excited. That's a small bit of life, but let's get to the thing here, right? The thing that I can't stop talking about. So I went back to Meow Wolf last night. And if you have been hearing or seeing me do anything anywhere, then you probably are aware that I went to Meow Wolf for the first time a bit ago. And I've been kind of obsessed ever since because it kind of gets in your head and stays there because I really, really want to know the end of the story. Now, firstly, I will do my best to not say any spoilers here if you're in Denver and you're going to go to the Convergence station. Secondly, to be clear, I have not yet finished the story, even though I've been twice now. I went last night with my kiddo and he was starting at the beginning. So I just kind of didn't force it and, let things go through. Yes.
In case somebody hasn't been following along,
that's fair.
Can you quickly explain like what Meow Wolf is? And obviously there's a website so people can get more info, but can you just give like a little recap on what it is? Yeah,
so little disclaimer here, right? I'm like stumbling over my words because I'm just like, there's so much words. So little disclaimer, this is my first experience with Meow Wolf, so I know that there are other Meow Wolves, and I can only speak to this one. So, Meow Wolf is an art collective that builds installations that are kind of they're wild, sort of psychedelic, sometimes very modern art exhibits, right? That are interactive and have a plot line. And they're really cool and pretty mind-bending to stroll through. So you can definitely explore them without engaging in the plot line, but it's the plot that keeps me like obsessive at this point, right? So they're kind of like a mix between a psychedelic art museum and an escape room. Not in that you have to escape, but that there's puzzles to solve all over the place, and things to interact with, for you to kind of go through and get from one thing to the next, and etc. Right? So that's Meow Wolf. It is a pretty wild experience. Their first one, they have one in Santa Fe and one in Las Vegas, I think, is the other two. And they have kind of a theme of weirdness. Very weird. The one in Denver is called the Convergence. It's Convergence Station, which is run by QDOT, the Quantum Department of Transportation. And it is the convergence of 4 different dimensions that you can visit from Earth. So as an Earthling, you get to go, and it's like where these 4 dimensions have been smashed together. And the plot, if you go and get a Q pass and follow along the plot, the idea is that you are trying to collect the memories of 4 women, the quote, the Forgotten Four, who are somehow responsible or intimately involved in the merging of these 4 dimensions into one. And from there, it just gets weirder, right? Because memories are a form of currency. So you have to use memories to pay for things, basically. Your actual memories that you experienced, not you as an actual person, but storyline wise, right? And you can collect them because people lose them. There are memory storms that sweep through and make people forget things or lose memories. And then you can go to a lost and found and collect other people's memories. So it's really, it's really interesting. So the storyline is, trying to figure out the Forgotten Four, who they were, how the convergence happened, and then potentially stop the Quantum Department of Transportation from collecting those memories before you and erasing everyone's memories. Which is sort of a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's really, I really enjoyed it. Anyway, there's some sort of combination of the very tactile elements of the experience, which makes it kind of like LARPing, except without any effort on my part whatsoever. It's just an experience you go have, right? You don't have to, do any of the, setup work that you would actually do for a LARP. But the way that it's interactive plays on a lot of the same things that I get personally out of gaming. And I think that's part of the reason that it keeps stalking me. So here's where I relate this to the fact that this is giving me life in gaming, right? Because we're getting there.
That's all right.
So you're wandering around with this Q pass, and you basically collect memories by there are things that you can touch with the card, and it's an RFID. So you touch them with the card, and it registers that you did that and adds things to your account, right? And then you can go look at what you've collected, either while you're there or, and this is the thing that I think is partially really key, you can use it while you're there and you can explore it. But for me, having gone twice now and not finished the storyline, and since I was there with my kiddo, there's stuff now in my account that I haven't had the opportunity to interact with yet. So where this gets really cool is now I am taking the game away from the location with me, and I can go look and explore and see all of that stuff on my phone and basically remain involved with the plot and the storyline, even though I'm not physically present. So we have talked before because it's something that I think a lot of gamers think about, with the idea of how you remain engaged between sessions of like a campaign or a longer story arc. And what I'm basically taking away from Meow Wolf right now is some of the ways to basically give the little dopamine hits that make you want to keep going back and re-engaging and maintain the excitement between sessions, right? So being able to go in and read more about the area and expand on the sort of knowledge of the context of all of the situations when I'm not physically present at Meow Wolf or, say, at the table. Because there's other people there and they want to do things, and maybe not everybody wants to slow down and read 50 pages of documents because they're just, that's not where they are, or we don't want to spend that time together in person, then that's stuff that I can engage in on my own between sessions. And then I'm really excited and I have more information when I come back to the table. So I don't know. It's really cool.
Well, so you're going to laugh when I tell you this.
Okay.
But I've written an article on Gnome Stew about this.
Yeah, well, so have I, actually. So now we can just both be like this.
Yeah. So this concept is...
It's not a new concept. And here's what I should say. It's not a new concept. It's even stuff we've talked about before on this show. But what I am experiencing right now, and the reason it's giving me life, is a really, really well done version of that specifically that is engaging technology in such a way that it keeps feeding me back the bits of story that I get to engage with between visits.
Yes.
Really, really smart game construction.
Can I get nerdy for a second about this?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So this concept of gaming outside of the game is sometimes referred to as metagaming, not the bad connotation metagaming where we talk about like using in-player knowledge to affect in-character knowledge, right? Like things like, Bill always puts the, a safety for the trap somewhere nearby. We just need to keep searching for it, kind of thing. But rather... the first time I ever heard it called metagaming, and the reason why I won't budge off this name is because the first time I read about this was in a essay that Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic, wrote. And since you have a teenager at home who is playing Magic,
so much Magic,
right? You can also attest to this, right? That what Richard Garfield purposely did when creating Magic, his intent was that that it was going to be a card game that you played face to face against somebody else, but he was adamant about designing in things you could do when you were not playing face to face, because you can't always play face to face with people, that would keep you engaged in the game, right? So knowing your teenager,
yes,
as he putters around the house, talking about cards, watching YouTube videos about decks, and building decks.
Sitting on his bed, building another deck yesterday. Yes.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. It's, and which is why, again, I will never rename this term because Garfield so perfectly designed it into Magic, and I will stick by this name. Anyway, the idea is that, we've said this on this show. We've said this on Misdirected Mark, right? Engagement creates excitement.
Yeah.
Right. So, so in this case, going back now to Meow Wolf, this idea that after you have been to Meow Wolf, and the idea that from a business perspective and a game design perspective, the people at Meow Wolf want you to come back, right? So first of all, the place is so big and expansive, and there's so many things you can't do it all at once, right? You'll wear out.
Yeah.
But if you just had a good time, right? Like some people are just going to have a good time, like, ooh, pretty lights, like interesting landscape, and they're done, right? They're never Meow Wolf again.
And definitely, like, you walk in and there are people at the door and they're like, if you just want to go see it, have the photo opportunities and walk through the galleries, go ahead. Awesome. Have at it. If you want to engage the storyline, go pick up one of these cards.
Right. So here's the brilliance of it, right? So if all you could do was pick up the card, go to Meow Wolf and interact with story, that'd be pretty good, right? Like that would be decent, and you probably would come back. But also the thing that the Meow Wolf people know from the other places is that, and especially during COVID times, you have to reserve tickets for a particular date and time, and it's not easy.
It's not. And I really wanted to. Yesterday was the perfect day to go, but because I had to leave town on a business trip and did not want to book tickets before I left, because things are so unpredictable right now, right? I did not want to come back and be worried that I had something and then have to cancel those tickets, etc., right? So I waited until I came back, and then all the tickets were taken, and then I checked every day last week because people kept canceling, and then I got something like Thursday night, right, for Friday.
So right. So let's continue that thread, right? So if you can't just go whenever you want, right,
yes, which you can't,
then if there isn't something to keep your attention, your next move will be, I'll wait till it dies down and maybe I'll try again some other day, right?
Yes.
And your interest will wane and you'll just go off.
Yep.
But because they've built in a component where you can go to the website when you're not at Meow Wolf and interact with the fiction, the story and the game of Meow Wolf,
yep,
you are now being re-engaged.
Yeah, constantly.
Without having to be at Meow Wolf, without having to have tickets to Meow Wolf. And since engagement builds excitement, you now get excited and now you really want to go back to Meow Wolf.
Yeah.
Right?
So other people in my game group have gone back and finished the story. So there's also a certain amount of no spoilers.
Yeah. So all of that is brilliant game design to keep you engaged and keep you interested in the story.
Yeah.
Okay. So to extrapolate that for people who are at home, well, what could I do with this? Right? There's actually a lot you could do with this, right? There are activities that you can set up that can occur outside of the game that you can do that will keep things interesting between sessions, right? Especially if you're playing like I do. I play bi-weekly, or if you're playing monthly or something like that. Or if you're one of those groups that's hey, we only get together every month to play because we all live really far away, whatever. Some of these things will help you. Some of these kinds of things will help you stay engaged. I'm not going to go through them. I will say that you should, 1, read Senda's article about Meow Wolf.
Yeah.
And 2, go in the Wayback Machine, go to Gnome Stew, and look up my 2010 article.
Boy, you're old.
Called The Game Outside the Game.
Yeah, that
which
one.
talks about activities that you can do, activities you can set up to basically have things to do between games that will keep things exciting and keep that engagement interest cycle going.
Yeah. And it's hidden in lots of other places too, because even when we talk about things even just you personally making playlists or that kind of thing.
Well, that's one of those activities.
Right. It's ways to continue to engage. Anyway, so long story short, I'm really still very obsessed with Meow Wolf. It was a really cool experience again. And I continue to be impressed by how they have created and laid out the engagement to basically make me want to keep going back. And I don't have a problem with it. I'll keep going back. That's fine. Let's just do it again.
No, I mean, first of all, I think that's great. Second of all, if you're in the greater Denver area, right? You should totally go to Meow Wolf.
Check out the Convergence station. It's super cool. And also, if you have a local Colorado zip code, the tickets are $10 less. So don't sleep on that because they're not inexpensive, but it's not any more expensive than going to the zoo or the aquarium or any of those things. So,
but also
don't sleep on putting your zip code in and getting the Colorado tickets if you're local. So
right. And if you're coming to Colorado, plan ahead.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be...
yeah, especially weekends are already booked out a ways.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, all of that aside, what's giving you life in gaming?
Yes. What is giving me life right now is Cortex Prime.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of problems reading, paying attention over the last couple months, pandemic related. And I just I really wanted to read, I wanted to read, period. Right. I tried a few things, like you bought me a book. Yeah. I have a stack of books. Like I could not, I just couldn't do it. Right. Like I couldn't get the concentration up. So I was like, all right, look, I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I'm just going to read something that interests me. And I've been toying around with this idea for a setting that I've kind of loosely been working on. Too loose at this point to even talk about it yet. That was just interesting me, even just from running it personally before I even think if it's a publishable kind of thing. And I was I had a setting in search of a system, right? Yeah. And my default for this is always well, I could do it in Fate.
Yeah, I mean, right? But you totally could.
But that's I don't know, that statement is, that statement's always true.
Yes.
Can I run this in Fate? Of course yes, I could run it in Fate. But I'm already playing a Fate game. So I was well, I don't know what else. And I keep seeing people really, really talking about how wonderful Cortex Prime is. So Cortex Prime by Cam Banks, is the system. The Cortex system was used by, in the past by Margaret Weis Games for a whole host of different games Marvel Heroic, Serenity, Smallville, Leverage, a whole bunch of those. But Cam finally made a generic version of the rules. And I was oh, cool. So I got it and I started reading it and I'm super interested in it. This is by no way a review. There are better people than I to do a review of the game. I'm just going to tell you why it's giving me life. So there's so many cool things going on this that I really I tip my hat to Cam Banks for how smart this concept was, and then as a game designer, how much I love this this rule book. So first of all, it is not one set of rules. Fate is the Fate rules, and then there's oh, you can extend it by doing all these things.
Right.
What Cortex Prime is there's a core system. And it's pretty thin, the actual core system, right? It's pretty light. But then for every piece of the system, the book has a bunch of mods, which are the different ways that Cortex was used in different games.
Yeah.
Boiled down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell you to use any one of them. It just says here's the core rule about plot points. And now here's a whole mess of mods about different ways to use plot points.
Right. So it gives you a bunch of building blocks.
Yeah. and in fact, you have to actually to play it, you've actually got to I guess you don't have to. You could just play it from the really thin core system. But the idea is that when you play a Cortex game, you assemble your blocks.
Yeah.
You make decisions and be okay, well, I want this block and this block. I don't want this. Combat's not as important to me, so I'm going to not use these combat mods, but I really want to do a game about social interaction and relationships. So I'm going to engage these rules instead. Right down to picking your stats. It doesn't even tell you that there are core stats. There are options for making core stats. And it just runs you through all of them. It's look, you can do a standard skill list. That's fine. You can do an approach thing. You can do this. You can do that. You can do relationships. You don't even have to do relationships as a stat block. You can do them as an add-on, to have all these things. And they all they fit together, and where they might rub each other a little, there's extra notes hey, if you're using this mod and then this mod together, be careful, these two places kind of bump up against each other. So all of that's really cool. But then so I love that. So as a game designer, I'm sitting here looking at my setting and I'm looking at this rule book and I'm oh, how do I want characters to be statted out in this game? And I started to come up with a really cool, I was feeling kind of inspired. I came out with a really cool idea for how I might want to put them together. And I'm getting closer. I'm not even remotely close to playing this game yet, but like I love the I love reading it with the idea that like, oh, I want to run a game in this, and I'm starting to kind of like, as I'm reading, like, oh, I like that mod. Nope, I don't like that mod. I would use this mod in this way, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really slick about it is, if you're not familiar with Cortex Prime is a dice pool, roll and keep kind of game. So like you assemble a little dice pool, and it's actually good. The dice pool is actually pretty small, so it's not it's not too laggy,
not unreasonable.
To put together.
Yeah.
No, so you assemble a little die pool, you roll, and then you need 2 dice that you put together, add together, and that determines whether your target number is exceeded or not. And then, depending on which mods and stuff you're using, there's another die that's called the effect die, which is one of the 2 dice that you did not pull together. That kind of determines the magnitude of your success.
Interesting.
Which I also like because that's multidimensional, right?
Yes.
So it's not even talking pass-fail. It's now talking pass-fail plus how significant or insignificant your success was.
Yeah.
But anyway, because it's this dice pool roll and keep game, there's a lot of examples, and I love how they approach the examples. So they do a text box with, in like, I think it's in italics or something that like describes to you, so-and-so puts their die pool together, rolls this, so-and-so puts their die pool together, rolls this. And then like they tell you, but right underneath it, they always put a little table. They have graphical icons for all the dice, and they have kind of a nomenclature. Like if the die is not filled in, then it's just been rolled but not selected. If it's filled in, it's been selected. If it's, I forget, there's like, if it's got a bold one, it's the effect die or whatever. But there's always a graphic right under the example that shows you the die rolls, the selections, the totals, and then the outcomes.
Yeah.
And the format's always a little different. Like the columns are always a little different depending on what the example was.
Sure.
But it's the kind of thing where like you read it and you're like, okay, they put a bunch of dice together, they rolled, they got this number, whatever. And then you look down and you're like, oh, I can totally, like, this is what it would look like if you were looking at it on the table.
I can actually visualize this. Yeah.
It's really good. It's a really, from a graphic design and game as an instruction manual thing, it's a really smart way to address this kind of system, right? Like if you're playing Powered by the Apocalypse, I don't need an example that shows me the dice. Like you're rolling 2d6, right? Like if you,
I'm only envisioning like, two results,
2 6-sided dice, very easy, right? But Cortex has different size dice. It has different combinations, right? And because it's roll and keep, you don't keep the 2 highest numbers. Like you decide which 2 numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So you might be like, I'm not taking the 16. I'm going to take the 12 because I want that unused die to be the higher effect die.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some decision making. Again, there's some latency in this, in this system. But the tables as examples is so good. Like every time I read it, like I immediately, like I read the example, I'm like, and I look down and I'm like, oh, cool. Got it.
Got it.
And I imagine that in the heat of a game, when I have to go look something back up, being able to see that table is going to make a big deal in terms of kind of in the moment of the game when you're kind of, especially when you're learning a game, right? And you're kind of fumbling through the rules.
Yeah.
It's going to help a lot to see it.
To just, visualize immediately. Yeah.
It's a smart, it's really smart in the way that they've graphed, like they show that information. Anyway, I'm excited about it. It's, I like the system. From everything I've read already, I'm like, I like this system. It looks like it's going to be fun. I think that the setting that I'm working on, as I kind of build that out a bit more, I will then come back. I'm going to, in parallel, finish reading Cortex Prime, and then I'm going to come back and start building a game around it. And the cool part is, like, I could build it, start playing it, and be like, this mod, it's not getting use, or no one likes it, right. Just take it out and like sub another one in or something.
Right. Or this is not giving me the feeling that I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not rewarding the right thing mechanically, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So anyway,
that's
what's giving me life in gaming.
Cool. Cortex Prime. Meow Wolf.
Cortex
We could
Prime.
run Meow Wolf in Cortex Prime. We could make a Meow Wolf style story.
You could.
I would have to read Cortex Prime.
Yeah, you would. It's a big book.
I don't read big books anymore. I don't have time.
I'll read it for you. I'll teach you.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right, Senda, what's giving you life? Or in this case, what's endangering your life?
What's giving
outside the
me
game?
murder in my life right now? My child had a very old hand-me-down bed frame for his bed in his room. And a couple weeks ago, I sat down on the corner of it to tuck him in, and it collapsed. And
That's a sign.
yeah, I was like, well, I guess we're done with this. So I was really excited because we went to IKEA and we got him a bed that has a bunch more storage in it because he's a teenager and his room is a disaster. And I keep being like, maybe if I just give you places to put things, they'll get put into places and it's not the floor. Which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But so went and got him a new bed. Very excited about it. Super happy about the end potential. That's giving me life, which is good because the stuck in the middle part, which is where I am right now. Yesterday we finished building the frame part, but we need to finish all of the drawer parts. So I am still in the middle part of a giant furniture building process in which the room that it is in is like got random mattress like shoved against the wall and partially built bed. And the rest of my house has been coated with a fine layer of little chunks of cardboard. And my kitchen is full of big standing chunks of cardboard, and the living room has all of the pieces for the drawers stacked against the walls. So basically my house looks like an IKEA-shaped hurricane swept through and left me with drifts of cardboard and swaths of wood. And I can't wait until it doesn't. It's a it's a weird mix of giving me life and like killing me slowly, right? Like
now here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't want anyone to get the wrong impressions about you because you have built several very large IKEA pieces. You have built your bed, a queen size bed.
My bed, a dresser,
your couch.
my couch.
Yes. So it's not like
it's not table. Like I have experience building IKEA furniture.
Right. You are not that is that I did not want anyone to misunderstand that like, oh, woe was you. You don't like, you're struggling to put this stuff together. You are not a rookie at assembling this kind of stuff.
This bed is just, it has a lot of parts to it, right? So like I said, we finished the actual bed. It has a headboard, a footboard. It can have a mattress on it. In fact, he slept on it last night. But now I also need to build 6 drawers and put the, sliders in and all of that stuff because we spent like 3.5 hours on it yesterday and then we had to stop because we needed to get ready to go to Meow Wolf. It's just a big build is what I should say. It's a big one. Just has a lot of bits. And I'm really, really happy that I am almost done. Whew.
It's good.
And I can't wait to reclaim my house from the fallout is where we are. Anyway, what's giving you life that is not gaming?
So it's Trader Joe's. I don't shop normally. Like I don't shop like weekly or anything at Trader Joe's, right? I live in Western New York. I shop at Wegmans like you're supposed to, right? Like, I mean, you just do, right? Like that's not a.
Sure.
There are other grocery stores in Western New York. I'm not sure why, and if you live near a Wegmans, you also aren't sure why as well. Mm-hmm. It's just Wegmans anyway. But I do like once a month as like a treat. I go to Trader Joe's to buy fun food, right? Like because to me, like while I know that there are probably people who are like, I do all my shopping at Trader Joe's, and hats off to you. One, I find that store comically small.
That's because your Wegmans are huge. They're so big. I mean, I have a grocery store that size, but
I know Your Sprouts, the one you also shop at, is comically small.
I know, but I like it because I can like actually make my way through it versus like there is a grocery store of a Wegmans size and I pretty much avoid it unless I have to go there because it's so big.
I hear you. Anyway, so anyway, I particularly I only go to Trader Joe's like once a month to like quote fun shop. So I don't buy anything like
Staples.
I don't buy so anyway. So I have a couple favorites, right? Like their Mandarin orange chicken,
super good,
which is like super good and just it's just a treat. I'm making it tonight actually.
Nice.
Their dark chocolate peanut butter cups, which are
so good.
I mean,
so good.
They're the ones my son almost ate a whole container of. And like, so anyway, I was going and I was talking to you while you were wrestling the IKEA bed.
Oh my God.
And
I was having so much trouble right at that one point. That was the hardest part of making the bed, to be clear.
Right. If you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, Trader Joe's has like a whole bunch of stock stuff that they always have. And there's some really delicious stuff in there. Like the Mandarin chicken.
Yeah.
But they also have seasonal stuff. Like they're really good about like themed seasons and stuff like that. So of course it's October.
Yep.
So it's pumpkin season.
Pumpkin.
And I go strolling in with my, I got my little basket, right? I don't even take the cart because that's how few things I buy, right? I just got like my little basket and I go in and I'm looking and I see like I see all this stuff and then I see pumpkin bagels. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, shit. Like,
how can you say no to that?
Like, how can I say no to pumpkin bagels, right? So, like, whatever. I grab the pumpkin bagels and I throw them in. And then I'm like, well, like, I can just toast these and put butter on them. I'm sure they'll be delicious, right? I had like I got the Kerrygold butter. It's great. But you're like, you should get cream cheese.
Yep.
I'm like, you're right.
Yep.
I should get cream cheese. I wonder what kind of cream cheese they have at Trader Joe's. Pumpkin spiced cream cheese.
'Tis the
so
season.
I'm like, well, now
all the way,
like,
go all the way.
I'm gonna go all in pumpkin, all in pumpkin. So I did. I grabbed that. I did grab my Mandarin chicken. I got my peanut butter cups. I keep thinking and I got fried ravioli. Because the guys are coming over tonight to watch Hackers, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just throw some fried ravioli in the foodie, quick air fry them, heat up a little sauce, and have like a little appetizer for everybody when they come to have dinner tonight."
That's cute and delicious. I mean, so you know what I go to Trader Joe's for? I go for the croissant, the frozen croissant, the frozen chocolate croissant.
Those are amazing.
So good.
I bought them before.
Yep, and they have dark chocolate mints in a little plastic container that are so delicious.
I'm going to tell you because I know you love peanut butter and chocolate too. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to have them here in November.
Okay. Oh, gee darn.
Yes. You'll be here in November. I'll just have them here in November.
That sounds delightful.
You can just have them. Okay, anyway. So anyway, I love Trader Joe's because it's just like, it's not the place where I do my day-to-day shopping. So I just go there for fun food.
Yeah,
like just looking through like what's fun here, like what what looks yummy.
They always have fun things, right? Like in their frozen food, like their line of frozen food is just like astonishingly delicious. Like they just do a really good job at it. It's really interesting. So when I worked up in Boulder, I used to just swing by Trader Joe's like on my lunch and like grab a few things. And I would like grab something for lunch and then I would also like just grab like croissant and like chocolate mints to have at my desk and like whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they always have mochi, and they had mochi before anybody else had it reliably in the frozen section. Now I can get that at like all the local grocery stores, but I couldn't before. And so I would sometimes buy that to keep in the freezer at work, and then I'd like have a down afternoon and be like, well, I'm going to go have a chocolate mochi ice cream. I'm like,
yeah, because they're delicious.
So good. But what else was I going to say about Trader Joe's? Nope, I lost it. It's gone. Yeah, I used to go there a lot more because it used to be closer to me.
Yeah, luckily this one is this one's actually not far from my and nothing's far from my house actually. Like my apartment is like geographically perfect in terms of like not far. So anyway, last night I jumped on Mumble and I was to see everybody, and I was drinking a cup of tea and had one of my pumpkin bagels with cream cheese.
Yum.
And on the Slack room this morning, Bob's like, and I went to Trader Joe's this morning, and now I also have pumpkin
bagels
bagel.
and pumpkin spice cream cheese.
I was like, I did not steer you wrong, my friend. Like,
sometimes you just gotta. Oh, that's the funny thing. When sometimes I make onigiri, and I like to be able to put furikake on it. And Trader Joe's is the only place that I can just go somewhere locally and pick up a furikake mix. Like, it's just the only place that I can get it easily. So that's the other thing at Trader Joe's. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so good. It was the first place ever that I could get everything bagel seasoning.
Yeah,
I can get it now at Wegmans. Like Wegmans makes their own.
Yeah, but I can get it at Sprouts, but I couldn't before. Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
it was. It's good. Like I said, it wasn't a. It was that was the first place I could get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's I don't know. Like it's funny because anytime a grocery store comes to Buffalo, Buffalonians are like,
it's not Wegmans. Yeah, I remember.
Like when Whole Foods,
your
reaction
to Whole Foods was
like when Whole
hilarious.
Foods showed up, and we were just like, like why are you even here? Like. And it's never busy. Like you can if you want to just like breeze through somewhere that's like got a handful of people, just go to
Whole Foods.
Go to Whole Foods. Now Trader Joe's on the other hand actually does fine in Buffalo. I think people do the same thing I do. I don't think a lot of people buy their their whole week's groceries there.
Yeah.
But there's always people there buying stuff.
Yeah.
And there's always cool stuff to buy. So I don't know.
I mean, I think that's what it is, right? Like I literally just go there for like stuff that is just like they make a them brand of all kinds of fun things, and it's just like great. And Sprouts tries to do that, and sometimes they succeed, but it's a lot more hit or miss. Like Trader Joe's is pretty reliable. Like if they do a thing, then it's good, right? Like
yeah, and Wegmans is the same way, right? Wegmans usually lags a little bit behind. Like Trader Joe's came out with everyday bagel seasoning, and then like a year or two later, Wegmans was like, oh, we do that too,
right?
And I was like, cool, because that's no longer a fun thing for me. That's like an essential seasoning for my eggs.
Yeah, that's like a you every morning thing.
I like my eggs with everything bagel seasoning. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably wrap this up and head over to the Bamboo Lounge. So, do you have another show on the Misdirected Mark Network you could tell us about?
Boy, do I. On Mastering Dungeons, RPG veterans and game designers Teo Sabadia and Sean Merwin take a look at the game and the hobby of D&D from a variety of viewpoints, reporting the news, understanding the business, reviewing the products, and illuminating the design. Whether you're a fan, a player, a DM, or a designer, Sean and Teos cover topics of interest to you. Woohoo!
Excellent. Say, Senda, where can people reach us on the internet?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at Pandas Talk Games. You can find us in the Misdirected Mark forums at forums.misdirectedmark.com. You can drop us an email, panda@misdirectedmark.com. Or if you're feeling video and you want to have us share your audio later, you can catch us on TikTok. And on TikTok, it's us individually. We don't have a podcast account on TikTok. You just have to find me or Phil.
We're barely managing the personal ones.
Yeah. So, but we love it. So, if you want to send us a thing on TikTok, please feel free. And Phil, once they have that information or find us on TikTok, what can they do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Leave us ideas. Ask us a question. Pick a topic for us to pontificate upon. Tell us tell us what you're struggling with in your game. Like, it doesn't even have to be a problem. It could just be like, I don't know, making NPCs is a drag. What do you guys got on that? Like, whatever it is, like, just throw it out there. We'll knock it out into a show. Like that part is like, that part's our specialty. So whatever is making your gaming less fun or whatever could make your game more fun, we want to help you with.
Yep.
So send us those ideas. We'll get working on it. We'll come up with some ideas for you and make a show out of it. Because that is exactly what we're here for. We're here to make your games better so that you will enjoy them more and you will keep role playing. Mm-hmm. Right? That is our job. That is our goal. Cool. That is what we aspire to every time we hit the mics, is in hopes that we'll do something to make your games better. And at the very least, if we don't do that, at least hopefully we're mildly entertaining. Anyway, if you like what we do here elsewhere in the Misdirected Mark Network, please consider supporting our Patreon campaign. Go to patreon.com/MMP. You get access to the Bamboo Lounge, the Misdirected Mark After Show, and the awesome Slack Room for Life. I just still love our Slack room. 102 people, I think, in it, talking about food, making jokes, talking about role-playing stuff, just sharing like everyday wins and frustrations in life. Like it's a really nice group. And, we also play some Minecraft, which is a thing that we might be doing again soon. And that's not actually a Misdirected Mark thing. That's just a bunch of us who know each other through Misdirected Mark play.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best. It's not a Misdirected Mark sanctioned server. it's Schmitty's server, and just most of us know each other through the podcasts and stuff, and so we go and hang out and play some Minecraft. Anyway, do that if you can. We appreciate it. Helps us immensely. Keeps the lights on. If you can't do it, like we totally understand, right? And if you can't, there's still a thing that you can do to help us out, which is absolutely spread the word. Tell people about our show. Hit it up on Twitter. I assume you've already told all your gaming friends. So just hit those people on Twitter who are like, what should I be listening to? Just drop our name. If you're comfortable doing it, we appreciate it. There's also one more thing you can do if you don't want to kind of directly hang it out there for us that you can do. That's a little more anonymous, still helpful. In terms of the soulless algorithms of the tech giants who control our lives with every whim. What's that thing?
Boy, I just have to say, the introductions to my part of this closing, sometimes they just keep getting... I don't even know what the right adjective is here.
Have I shared my feelings on how I feel about podcast, about Apple algorithms?
I think people might get the idea.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
please go on. Tell us that thing.
You could leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or the podcatcher of your choice. It doesn't have to be Apple. Everywhere is great. We really do appreciate them, and they do actually help new people find the show, which is also fantastic. And when we read them, they make us warm and fuzzy inside. So also, please don't be shy about letting us know that you left one somewhere, because there's a lot of places we could be checking, including the international Apple podcast stores that you have to do some specific gyrations to access. So let us know if you left one somewhere, because we really, really like to read them. And thank you so much to everybody who already did. We really, really, really do appreciate them. Yeah.
Indeed. Say, Senda, when are you getting tickets for Meow Wolf the next time?
I don't know. Do you want to go? Are you going to
but that's going to be a while, right?
Well.
You're coming to visit me first.
Yep. So...
Okay, but next time I come out, let's totally do it.
Okay.
Show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, show me what you got.
This show is a joint production of She's a Super Geek and Misdirected Mark Productions, the media arm of Encoded Designs.
Show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, show me what you got, hey, show me what you got, show me what you got.
Bloop. Ta-da.
Yay.
I gotta switch my Zoom view so I just see you. I don't need to see me. Now I see you yawning on a
giant screen of me yawning.
That's yeah.
Wait, I can just do you? Okay.
Change it to speaker. I'm the only speaker.
Yeah, you're the only speaker.
Can you just do me? Oh, noes. The answer is maybe.
What am I supposed to do with this audio?
I don't know what you're supposed to do with this audio.
What am I supposed to do with this?
I don't know. You figure it out.
Probably not going to figure it out. I'm just going to put it in the outtakes.
Yeah, the rest of you figure it out. I'm going to go get some pineapple. Be right back.
Anyway.
Oh, I forgot to say cue music.
That's okay.
Oh,
Sometimes
man, we're all over the place.
Sometimes I leave it and sometimes I cut it out.
There we go.
Depends on what makes sense, so it's fine with that.